How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. It is a lovely day to be a Cincinnati Bengals football fan. The Bengals riding a 3-game winning streak after going out and beating the Minnesota Vikings down 14. And hey, you know what? We ain't mentioned it yet. This video just started. We talked about the Bengals before this. How about Paycor Stadium in that game? That crowd was loud. Zach Taylor requested, and Bengals fans showed up. That was one of the loudest crowds I've heard in a while. And they was making an impact on Minnesota Vikings offense, and that's what you want to see. So shout out to the crowd. Shout out to that note. I love it. I love hearing it pumped up. I love it being a hostile environment, hard for teams to play when they go on the road into Cincinnati. It just makes things that much more difficult and helps the team out. Shout out to the fans at Paycor. But the Bengals down 14, come from behind, and not only it's one thing to be down 14. And you say, all right, down 14. What if it's 28-14 or 35-21? It's right. The offense has been clicking. We've been moving the football down the field, just a couple bad breaks, whatever, right? No, this football team had 3 points. After an interesting play call early in the game by Zach Taylor saying, let's pass the football and we're cruising. Let's pass the football to a tight end. But they was cruising. But after that, the Bengals offense was struggling. It's easy to get down on yourself. It's easy to kind of fold things in. That Minnesota Vikings defense was playing stellar football for the last 3-4 football games. Stellar football. Not allowing touchdowns in the last 2 games, dang near. That's impressive. They played all this game, 3 quarters. They've been stellar. And to walk into that 4th quarter, you could have very easily, as a defense, very easily, even we brought Paycor into fans because I remember here in the Bengals are on 14, and that crowd is still loud and rocking and making a lot of noise on defense. That's easy. That's when the crowd starts to calm down a little bit. That's when guys and girls start to fade out of the game. They start to walk through this. You see the crowd start to exit the gates, and to see that this team not only believes themselves, but this fan base says, "Hey, we've rode this before with Joe Burrow. Now we're gonna ride with Jake Browning. We're never out of a football game. We're gonna sit here and cheer this football team on. They're gonna make some play," and that's what they did. Down 14, Jake Browning starts to figure things out. He's dropping them in a bucket, leading this football team down to score. Bengals bring it within 7. Defense makes a big stop. Bengals go down, drive the football down the field once again to tie the football game. But we haven't even had the chance to stop and talk. Couple offensive linemen injured in this football game. DJ Reader, an absolute game changer on the defensive side of the football. When he's in the run game, run defense is just night and day different. You bring him and he exits this football game and you say, uh-oh, now what? I tell you what, now what? Miles Murphy starts making a name for himself. We've seen him make a couple big plays in this game. I tell you now what? Lou Anarumo says, all right, our run stopper in the middle is not here. Let's dial up some Mike Hilton, one of the best run blitzers in the league. And he makes some big plays, gets that interception in this game, makes some big stops, gets them turnovers to this Bengals team to keep their offense and keep this team in the games. It's impressive. Down 7, Jake Browning, okay, Jamar Chase out with the shoulder injury. Now all of a sudden, you got a young quarterback, only been in a few games in his career. What's he made of? All of a sudden, Jamar Chase is gone. You have to work with T. Higgins. T. Higgins, who's been struggling all season. He dropped a couple passes this game. The confidence isn't there. You can see that Jake Browning's a little flustered with himself, not with the team. You knew the confidence wasn't him there, and all of a sudden you get that 1 touchdown, things start to roll again, you start to feel better about yourself, and now it's, okay, we're rolling, and Jamar Chase goes down. So many events in this football game, so many events throughout the season where the Bengals could just roll over and play dead, and you see it in so many football teams, so many sports teams in general, and it's got to the point where the resiliency of this bunch is ridiculous. You wonder, you're like, oh, that's it. I've seen a lot of Bengals fans rolling over on the internet during this football game saying, don't give me any excuses. It's over. The season's over. We knew the season's over. A lot of negativity. I tell you what, I just couldn't help but think, like, ladies and gentlemen, have we been watching the same Bengals team for the last 3 years? Because this is an every game thing. And I say every game, but it's a pretty regular thing. And what happens in the second half is the defense continues to make stops, make big plays, make turnovers, and the offense eventually figures it out and wins the football game. And it happened again today. But for Jake Browning to drive his football team down to a game-tying drive and a game-winning drive without your number 1 wide receiver, I can't be but more impressed. That 5 seconds of the game, Vikings defense likes to bring pressure, finds ways to extend plays, make the plays happen when they have to happen. Remember that? It was the intentional grounding. He didn't quite get out of the tackle box through that intentional grounding. Again, that's a golden chance to say, all right, we're going to roll over. Third and 18, third and 20. What are you going to do? Jake Browning steps up in a pocket and slings one down the field 20 yards, extends the drive, and the Bengals get down and score. It's just such a different culture in Cincinnati right now. It's nothing I've seen before in Cincinnati. I don't know how many teams I've seen in sports in general, where you have to look at Zach Taylor and say the culture, the team, the leadership he brings to this football team, where they are a bend but don't break defensive team. They're a bend but don't break offensive team. They don't seem to ever give up in a football game. And to see that out of a coach, I go back and say, I feel bad for ever questioning Zach Taylor's ability as a coach on his football team, because you just don't go pick that up on the streets. A lot of teams, probably north of 95% of coaches, as well as when it comes to having the character team, probably higher than that, cannot build a culture. 99 percentile really is Zach Taylor. You can't build a culture like that, where you just continue to make mistake after mistake, lose player after player, hit after hit, and your team just doesn't give up. They just don't quit. I mean, this is a football team that was 5-6, and you lose your franchise quarterback. They were supposed to roll over. They reel off wins in big games against the division-leading Jaguars, on hottest teams in football. They go up and beat the Colts 4-game win streak. The Colts, one of the hotter teams in football. You go up against the Minnesota Vikings defense, one of the hottest defenses in football, a team vying for a division title themselves, and you put up 27 against them. And you march up and down the field. I mean, I tell you what, if it wasn't for a couple missed passes early in this game, they were looking really good. A couple of deep passes, just a little too far. The drop pass by Higgins. I mean, there's a couple mistakes. But again, the difference in a really well-coached team, a difference in a team that is really put together and they really believe in themselves and they're a resilient bunch, is none of that affected them. We can recall as Bengals fans, the Marvin Lewis era, the playoffs came around, AJ Green dropped a pass like T. Higgins did. All of a sudden, you got it going through your head. It's here we go. And the wheels slowly but surely fall off in those playoff games and they lose. The complete opposite nowadays in Cincinnati. The wheels don't ever fall off. Very, very rarely have we seen them fall off in the biggest and brightest of moments on this football team. And it's impressive. And I challenge somebody to find me a team, a coaching staff that is put together over the last 3 years, the stretch the Bengals have in the last 3 years, really in the last decade, that has been as resilient and has been as never out of game, a never give up, never quit type of team like the Bengals. They're playing championship defense without Joe Burrow. You walk into this, say they're not the 49, they're not a 49ers or a Bills defense or the Legion of Boom. They're not that kind of defense. They're not that shutdown type of defense, but they're a bend but don't break defense. They're a defense that makes the turnovers when you need to, and they're a defense that can go out there and win you a Super Bowl if you can give them plus quarterback play. And to think they are getting that out of Jake Browning right now, this team is more than capable of still, and it is crazy that they're more than capable of winning a Super Bowl. Remember the Eagles did it with Nick Foles the 1 year. I think the Bengals are in that sort of situation. If they can keep their offensive line healthy, we'll see how the injuries aren't this week. They get the continuity there. You bring in a guy like Chase Brown. You bring in a guy like Charlie Jones if he's healthy as well. You're starting to see some bolts of electricity out of some of these playmakers. Then you got the bulldozers like Joe Mixon with that touchdown run. Joe Mixon was stopped at the 1 yard line on 4th and goal. We talking about the resiliency. He was stopped as could be. He just ran through the guy, spun around on that second effort, went to the end zone. This team was destined and determined. They wasn't taking no for an answer. And again, we talk about the resiliency. I couldn't be more impressed with how the Cincinnati Bengals team has played from a mentality standpoint. Again, you can pick apart everything. You can pick apart the Zach Taylor play call. Why are we throwing the football at the tight end? I agree. Why was we doing that? What was that? What was that, Zach? That was your one mishap of the game. But if there was one mishap of the entire game, everything else is like, that's great. It's been working. The screenplays have been working. They wanted to put that into the offense to help Jake Browning. We're seeing some big blocks being made. If there was a couple passes deflected at the line, Jonah Williams got to get into the guy's chest and stop them from deflecting him. But you can see the blockers lining up, and a lot of plays are getting the ball into Charlie Jones' hands, Chase Brown's hands. These guys that are playmakers in open space. They're creating an offense that works around Jake Browning. And again, you credit the coaching staff, credit this team for believing in themselves, not giving up. I said it like a million times, but I can't stress it enough. It's been a fun football team to watch. It's been, honestly, you think of the Super Bowl run, it's been exciting like that. It's something about the fact that you didn't expect them, you didn't have the same expectations, and then they're exceeding them expectations, and they're doing it impressively and convincingly. Now all of a sudden the Bengals look and say if they can beat every team but the Chiefs, or if they can win every game but one, 10-7. More than possible making the playoffs. They win out, they're gonna be in the playoffs. Lots of reasons to believe in this Bengals football team the rest of this season. Love y'all's thoughts. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.